Hi guys, it's painful to listen to Donald Trump, but as he's going to be president again in a few weeks' time, we will have to get used to hearing his insane comments about pretty much everything. Trump is a bit like a Brexiteer, in the sense that he doesn't understand the difference between members of the EU and the EU itself. Here he was talking about NATO, and he claimed that his threat to pull the US out of the organization has resulted in members in Europe increasing their military budgets. But as with Trump, there are a few problems with that.
NATO's taken advantage of us because look, two things. Number one, they take advantage of us on trade, meaning the European nations, okay, like terrible. They don't take our cars, they don't take our food product, they don't take anything. It's a disgrace. And on top of that, we defend them. So it's a double whammy. So let me just tell you, I was able to get hundreds of billions of dollars put into NATO just by a tough attitude. I said to the countries, I'm not going to protect you unless you pay. And they started paying. And that amounted to more than $600 billion. That's a big thing. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be fighting. They wouldn't have any money to fight. If they're paying their bills, and if I think they're treating us fairly, the answer is absolutely, I'd stay with NATO.
Okay, there's so many things to respond to here. First of all, let's respond to the thing about trade. So he's saying they're not taking our stuff, they're not taking our cars, they're not taking our food. Yes, because the EU has very high standards. And if the US wants to sell goods into the single market, it has to meet those standards. In the same way as that if countries outside the United States want to sell into the into the US market, they have to match US standards. Why is this so difficult for Donald Trump? He seemed to think, well, you just have to take our stuff because I said so. It doesn't work like that. And then the other angle, of course, is NATO. So does Donald Trump understand that not every member of the EU is a member of NATO? A lot of them are. But his shtick is, well, they're not paying their way. Okay, some countries who are members of the EU and a member of NATO are spending below the 2% requirement that NATO put in about 10 years ago. It's going to be reviewed next year. But there are some countries like Poland, Greece, and other Eastern European countries which are spending more than the 2% requirement. Now, if Donald Trump is saying, well, they're spending more because I told them that I was going to pull support, then why is it the case that there are countries like Germany are not spending the 2%? There are other countries in Europe which are not spending above the 2% requirement. So it seems to be only the Eastern European countries and Greece. But maybe it's because they're closer to Russia and they're more concerned about a threat from Putin and not so much about what Donald Trump is saying. I imagine he's playing a part, of course. But I think the war in Ukraine has convinced the Eastern European nations to spend more on military spending. Now, once again, he doesn't seem to understand the difference between members of the EU and the EU itself. Ireland is not a member of NATO, but it's a member of the EU. So you're going to punish, it seems, the EU and Ireland, even though Ireland is not part of NATO. You're also going to punish Poland, which is spending almost two times the NATO requirement because it's a member of the EU. He doesn't understand the difference between individual EU members and the EU. He doesn't seem to understand trade, and he doesn't seem to understand NATO. And he's going to be the next president. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.